I've always been fascinated by collaboration, but it really came together when I was working at McKinsey. I wanted to know why some teams are so much more effective than others at using the full complement of their members' expertise. We could have two equally diverse teams. One would have an astrophysicist and a concert pianist and a couple of MBAs, and another team equally diverse. And one of them would come up with something that was just on fire, really innovative, really practical, exciting. And the other one would come up with something that was kind of solid but ho-hum. And that inspired me to say, what's the difference? And it's been 20 plus years since I've been trying to figure that out. One of the barriers I see, unfortunately, far too frequently is simply a lack of leadership. It is relatively easy to engage at a very high level and say, yes, we've got this great purpose and vision statements, etc. But driving home purpose structurally, systemically, being willing to take on the conflicts head on and lean into them, that level of engagement in the realities of collaboration and purpose is something that a lot of leaders aren't comfortable with and don't take the time to learn the skills that they really need to deliver it. I think a lot of leaders would benefit from self-reflection. I think all of us benefit from self-reflection, but a lot of leaders these days are so pressured. Their time is in such high demand, and they're oftentimes facing so many different kinds of performance pressures that it feels like reflection is a luxury. And I would love people to take the time, maybe in a facilitated way, to explore some of those internal barriers, to help understand why it is that vulnerability is so difficult for them. What are they trying to prove and to whom? Those kinds of questions can be deeply uncomfortable for somebody who is so accomplished and feels like they need to perform all the time. And yet it's exactly that kind of introspection which will help people be more genuine and authentic in their leadership. One of the things that psychologists have known for decades is that when people are under pressure, their ability to think expansively diminishes radically. And it's ironic, right? Just when you need innovation the most, it's hardest to accomplish. And so what we need people to understand, first of all, is back to some ideas around introspection. What are your natural tendencies? What's the central tendency you revert to when you're really just running so fast or under so much pressure that you don't have time to deviate from what comes naturally to you? And so I advise them, go speak to your spouse or your kids or your coworkers, because they probably know what you revert to under pressure. But when you have that self-knowledge, then how do you keep your focus on these long-term goals? One of the problems with collaboration is that early on, the startup costs are high and it feels risky because we might not have the trusting relationships. And the real rub is that all of the benefits of collaboration, whether you're looking for innovation or growth or you name it, they take time to accrue. And so you're kind of moving through your timeline, you're still investing, the costs are coming down, but the benefits haven't come in yet. And that's where real leadership is required. People really need to be able to figure out, how do you measure small pieces along the way? How do you get those wins in place? What are the milestones so that you can demonstrate progress even though you haven't come up with the grand solution yet? And so it's up to leaders, and I don't mean just formal leaders, I mean anyone who can engage in leadership behaviors can act in this way. How do you think about communicating what it will take tomorrow? The next step, the next step. How do we pile on? How do we compound that progress so that we can reach towards these bigger goals? Because the problems are only getting more complex. The solutions feel like they're only getting further away. And so how do you keep people motivated and engaged and on point? That's where real leadership comes in.